front-wheel drive, mandatory front-wheel drive for TCR category cars, can be 4 or 5 doors, and they are a very, very cost-effective way to go racing. Up to the top of the Foxhole at Orenburg.
Yeah, and then the downhill plunge into the Foxhole itself. Meanwhile, Porsche Caymans towards the end of the Dottingham now, towards the end of the lap, having a really good fight. And is that on the back? That's a slightly older shaped BMW as well, so not one of the 235i cars. Yeah,
there's a couple of, in fact, I think we go back as far as
E36.
That is an E36, Johnny. You're absolutely spot on. Venerable E36. They're still competitive in the touring car classes. 3 Caymans abreast, going down into the first corner. It's the 45 car on the inside, the 454 car on the inside, the red and white car that got the right line and got stopped, most importantly. Is that the 477 in behind the all-white with the red rear spoiler? And then very much a Team Pixon coloured car. No, excuse me, it was the 977, 454, 977. And then the blue and orange machine follows them up. And there is the pass for position going on to the Grand Prix circuit. And the 977 into the hairpin. Very quick, that hairpin, drops down in the middle. The camber helping you for a moment, then hinders you, but you can get on the power exceptionally early there, and you have to, because you're going slightly uphill towards the S's, and then through the right-hander you plunge downhill again. Meanwhile, out on the bulk of the circuit, on the Nordschleife itself, Bonk Motorsport 308 TCR Peugeot, just starting to head down the hill towards the bridge.
Yeah, so Bonk Motorsport nicely placed in TCR in this early stages of the race. TCR with 9 cars in its class. We've already seen scrapping between the Honda and the Seat within that division. The Opel Astra from Kissling Motorsport, at least temporarily replacing the Opel Manta, but we expect the Manta to probably return at some point during the season, and that is a change for position in the M235i class. So car 666 has spent the whole lap on the back of the pole position car, but it's now in front. So the 666 car, which is the Team Scheidt Honda Motorsport BMW 235i, takes the lead of the class, but the black machine with the M-Power type livery down its length, not happy with that and trying to repay the favour. They're about to complete the first lap then in the Cup 5 division, and if the early lap then in this division is anything to go by, then we're in for a treat as far as this 20-car field is concerned.
The 666 car, Rudy Adams and Thomas Jäger, the Austrian Thomas Jäger, the driving talent there, the blue and black machine, and has taken that position from the 691, which was the pole sitting car in that class. That's the Bonk Motorsport machine. Only got Michael Schrei's name next to that at the moment, but I'm sure he's not doing it on his own. Meantime, the Fricadelli Porsche, which started from the pit lane, is working its way through the traffic.
I wonder whether that was the Matt Campbell car, the black machine, because as you say, Michael Schrei is the only driver labelled against it. Did Matt say he was in the pole car in M235?
He said he was in the second place car, so it depends which side pole was, doesn't it? Rather, so that could be Matt Campbell's. Well done. If anybody knows if it is the 691 that Matt is involved in. Matt has built a decent reputation for himself and regarded by a number of people as a real talent for the future. Has endurance racing aspirations as high as the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and there's no reason why that young man would not fulfill that. And the 235, a great M235i, a great proving ground. Sitting in behind them, the third of the BMWs there.
I think that's 675.
Correct, and I don't think that's the same class, is it? Or is it?
No,
oh no, it is. It's one of the Pixum cars, but it's in white, confusingly.
I know.
Daniel Zills and David Grace now. leaders
the
coming through
GT3
traffic.
League's already negotiating traffic, by the way. They've only completed 2 laps, and the gap's really come down between the 59 Monti Racing Porsche and the Ferrari, then, car number 22. So any thoughts that the 59 was going to have it's all on its own way can go straight out the window. That's another thing that we should take into account as far as this race is concerned. You might have a huge gap, and then you come across 14 Clios that you've got to overtake all in one corner.
Yeah, 59 leading by 0.3 of a second at the line, 7.5 seconds further back now. The best of the SPX cars is that 55 Renault RS01. Then the Porsche 911 GT3 are the 12 car in 4th position, another 10 seconds further back. Then 3 seconds off that, the 28 Audi R8 LMS, that's the Land Motorsport machine. Then the 36 BMW, what's happened to the other Fricatelli car? The 30 and 31 not having it all their own way. 31 car has disappeared completely from my timing screen. So that's something I will get onto as Johnny describes the action at the front of the field with the 55 car drifting beautifully through the chicane and puncture, left rear puncture for, now that's one of the Cup class car Porsches, blue and white machine coming towards us. I think that's the 69 car, if I remember rightly. And a quick scan through says that is the Klikverse DE team, Robin Chesnowski and Kirsten Jodnixis, excuse me.
So
now that's the new Opel Astra. This is the 823 Ixom car, and this Kistling Motorsport car, excuse me, the new Opel Astra TCR with Volker Strycek, man who used to be at the head of the Opel Performance Centre, OPC. This is leading the TCR category at the moment. A very distinctive red, white and blue colour scheme that sort of puts me in mind, although it doesn't have the stars, of Dragon Speed with those blue stripes across the bonnet. Doesn't have the stars on it as well, but if I explain it like that. And then there's a Golf sitting in behind the 804, which is, if I can describe that as sort of G-Drive colours, and then that'll give you the idea, orange, white and black. Yep. Those two cars disputing the lead in TCR.
They certainly are. So we have Astra ahead of 2 Golfs, in fact, and then the Honda Civic and the Seat battle for 4th and 5th in the class of TCR. And here it is, in fact, so 4th and 5th, Honda versus Seat. They're no further apart than they were the last time we checked on them. And the Seat seems a bit quicker, possibly through the Nordschleife a bit, but this time the Honda is able to open up a little bit of a gap through the early part of the Grand Prix track. Just flicking its tail out there was the Seat, into Hansen back. And the attitude of that Seat looking a bit more menacing perhaps than the Honda up ahead. Now there are 2 cars in the pit lane. One of them will be the 30 car that maybe didn't even take a start. Correct. And the 802 Golf has been out on track. Car 802, this is the 3rd place car in TCR, John, taking an early pit stop, and far too early for it to be scheduled. Also, the 69 Porsche's made its way back, so this is the car that was affected by the rear left puncture, and that tyre has well and truly worked its way loose from the wheel. Rather difficult then, therefore, to remove that very hot tyre and damage wheel potentially, but thankfully the tyre didn't break away fully from the rim and start to lash away at the bodywork.
Just an update on the Matt Campbell question that we were asking. He's in class V5, not Cup 5, sorry, that might have been my fault. So that's a Porsche Cayman.
Okay.
That he's in. I haven't got the number of that, and I can't find him on my entry list, if I'm honest. I will check through and see what I can do if we don't get that information through from the collective at RSL_studio. Live coverage of VLN3 Nordschleife, Eiffel Mountains of Germany. High cloud, little chillier than it was when we were at the 24 hours, but still a decent day to go motor racing.
I found it. I think it's the V5 car, number 462.
Oh yes.
Cayman.
Oh, he's dropped off the end of one page, so he's sharing with Dominic Schoening, is that
correct? Right,
that he's dropped off the end of my page. Well done. That's why I couldn't see.
And Campbell in there, number 462 V5 Porsche Cayman.
Well, let's have a look on timing and scoring and see where they are in class, and I will look that up. V5, not first, not second, not third, and they are fourth in 85th position, working the third sector of the circuit at the moment. 823 is the TCR of Kissling Motorsport, the new Opel.
Leading TCR class.
They'll be very pleased with that in its first outing here, heading up the hill now, and so much of this track you're either rising or falling. We've got an intervention vehicle out on the circuit, just on the bridge at one of the old entry points, just before that in fact, and that is for a BMW Cup car that was struggling with what looked to be a right front puncture as that Opel heads down towards the bridge.
Well, the car at the back of Cup 5, at least at this stage, is 698, which it may well be in the 20-car field, but 678's not had a great opening to the race, nor has 693. They're the back markers in Cup 5, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on the pit lane. Meanwhile, fight in amongst the Caymans is a treble 4 car. We've mentioned that machine before for Pixum Team Adrenaline, and the treble 4 car is second in V5, so this is second, third and fourth, and therefore the Schoening and Campbell car third in that little sequence. The problem for the V5 guys is that the class leader is a bit further up the road, although they're all bunched together nicely on the timing screen, and it's a BMW E36, which is the V5 leader, from 3 Caymans snapping at its heel. There's another change, by the way, in Cup 5.
Oh, big accident coming down the Dottinger Hall, and it is one of the BMW Cup class cars that's involved.
Was that the battle for the lead?
I think it might have been, Johnny, and the black and blue car has been shunted just before the left-hand kink under the bridge.
These are the 2 leaders.
Oh, it must have been just behind them then, Johnny.
That puts me in mind of an accident that happened on the Dottinger Herd to the back end of last year's VLN Championship. 2016 saw a huge shunt for 2 Cup 5 cars on the straight as well.
And I'm hearing the Valkenhorst Motorsport car, this is the Rory Butcher and Sebastian Morris car, has an issue and has stopped at Exmüller. We'll try and get that confirmed for you.
What a splendid fight this has been there at the head of the Cup 5 division, and I hope everyone involved in that big shunt is okay. But we have now 4 BMWs at the head of the order in Cup 5.
Hearing also Fricadelli, the 30 car, was basically doing a test for a different tyre manufacturer than they normally use. The 31 has been withdrawn. So the 31 has been withdrawn from the race, just there basically to do some testing. Now let's see if we can pick up which car it has had this incident. Very heavy contact drivers left, Johnny, with less than half an hour completed and everyone having to check up. Nothing on the live ticker at the moment. Here we are.
I thought it might be. No, I was going to say the sister car to the...
it's the 677. It is the 677. The
okay.
Hinter Motorfink and Fink, Motorfint and Fink BMW car. Accident on the Dottinger Hall.
FK Performance GBR car then.
And confirmed the 681 BMW M235 Morris Butcher and Mills with a technical defect is stranded out on the circuit just a couple of moments ago.
Was that the one that we saw down towards Brighton?
Yes, yeah, okay. I think so.
So issues for the all-British lineup, which is a shame to see and a shame to hear about. There are 7 Brits, by the way, in this race, 3 of them contained within 1 car, and the fight at the head of the order still very, very close indeed. Porsche from Ferrari, so the driver of Ferrari number 22 doing a splendid job here to keep up with. Now here we report at the wheel of the 59. I think, well, on the caption I saw earlier on, it was Randy Walls driving that.
Just to confirm that the car that we saw with the puncture, the Kaznovsky car, did get back to the pit lane, and the 677 car taking a huge shunt on the front end and then banging the back end as well, just before that little left-hand kink under the bridge where you barely turn the wheel. You actually just look to the left and let the car follow your eyes. You barely move your hands on the wheel there, and catching up on a couple of other things. Just as the cars go through slowly, I was just taken for a moment by the cars going slowly, but that is at the area. So 3 laps completed from the leader, Johnny, and nothing in it between the Porsche and Ferrari, with the Renault RS01 the best of the SPX car, X cars, in third position.
Yeah, and the SPX car, the G-Tronics 360 team, running their Renault RS01 once again. Dieter Schmidtmann amongst the drivers, along with Dominic Schwager.
Good news for Josh.
I should say.
Josh Barrett, good news for him. His new home hub's just arrived, so he will be online shortly. He's been trying to use spotty Wi-Fi, popped next door to borrow a couple of Wi-Fi from his near neighbour, I think, earlier on. Morning, Josh. And Tommy, who is TR The Flash, has tweeted at RSL_studio, do BMW have plans to run a single make series? They seem very popular, those M235 outcars. Effectively, they are doing, Tommy, within these races. That car was built specifically for a class within here, which the organisers have given them. So that is a single make class. There are a couple of categories that work that way. There's a Porsche Cup class as well, for Porsche Cup cars of various ages. But that Cup 5 class is for M235s only, and it was built specifically to race here in these VLN races, although they do pop up other places as well.
Car 101, which is part of the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup Division Cup 2.
Just what we were talking about, yes.
There you go. Almost as if we planned it. And the Hill Schaffner Klassen car is third in the division, but it's a class that's led by car number 1. Amongst the drivers, Alex Nice, who we were talking about during our countdown to green, and they're leading the Jan Bokman 117 Cup car. So this Porsche 911 GT3 Cup machine slicing its way now through BMW Cup traffic. Steep downhill plunge into the Foxhole, and then this left and right cam, and this is all flat down here. And
can't hit the curb on the left here. Stay off it, and then down one gear.
Into Adenauer Forest
you can
itself.
nail the curb on the left, stay off the curb on the right, and then get the car back onto the inside, the left-hand
side.
side.
This is really tight, this left-hand.
Correct. All the way down to second here. Do not use the curb on the right-hand side. You can ride out on the curb on the left. It's got that block paving on the top that a number of the areas have here. Lovely flowing section there, but exceptionally quick in anything, and very, very scary indeed.
It was Adenauer Forest, of course, where we had about 2 or 3 inches of rain in about 2 minutes.
In a moment, yeah.
And the second place fight in the 24 hours was exchanged because one car was on slicks and just unable to turn left in Adenauer Forest. The other one with full treaded tyres and far better, at least on that part of the lap, than its rival. Although we were in the situation where it was just raining on probably a couple of miles of the track. 8-2-3, Kissling Opel Astra, I thought was backing off there for some kind of incident, but no, it's just heading down the hill.
Foxhole as well.
Yes.
Just hear the engine in the background, little 4-cylinder, turbocharged, about 330 horsepower from these cars, very much a touring car series, and touted as a competition or potential replacement for World Touring cars. Certainly has really picked up when World Touring cars has stalled a little bit in terms of its numbers and its manufacturer interest. But these cars, I believe, will do for touring car racing what GT3s did for endurance racing. The difference with these cars is that most of the manufacturers offer Seat were the first people to do this, offer an endurance kit for them, Johnny, with headlights, with quick lift jacks, with bigger fuel tanks, and it's a very, very cost-effective way to go endurance racing for people who perhaps are more comfortable with front-wheel drive cars and the handling characteristics thereof. Particularly around sort of a bit of overtaking under white. Oh well, there is a green flag there, so that's fine. I suppose white and green still means there's a circuit vehicle. Yeah, as I say, some people prefer front-wheel drive cars. They prefer the understeer than oversteer in the back end, trying to overtake the front, and I can understand that round here. If you lift off in a front-wheel drive car, it tends just to push on and you scrub off speed. If you get sideways in a rear-wheel drive car and you lift off, you can often make life worse. Hard not to do, of course. Would that we all had the skills of these guys around here, because even the least experienced drivers here are very, very good indeed. It's an ambition of mine to have a race on the Nordschleife about this time of year would be great. Thank you very much. Anybody who wants to sign me up for next year.
When you're guaranteed dry weather.
Yes, well, you're never guaranteed dry weather here at the Nordschleife, are you?
The Porsche 911 GT America, number 62, is second at the moment in the SP7 class. SP7 exclusively for Porsche Cup cars. And the driver of this car, certainly very, very brave through that double right-hander there. It's the Frank Kraling, Mark Gindorf and Christopher Brook. It's a funny feeling that might have been Chris Brook, you know.
Yeah.
Driver of one of the Bentleys, wasn't he, at the N24 event. Chris Brook showing ultimate bravery there through the latter portion of the lap. Now, these cars have well and truly backed off because of this coned section, and they've coned it off, have the marshals and the circuit maintenance crews, to ensure that all the debris is now away from the track, and the hot air blowers are out, as well as the brooms. Look at the dent in the Armco though as well.
What's that, 2-3 feet pushed back? Certainly a couple of feet.
And the problem with that is that the barriers will need to be repaired just in case they get hit again on, well, they're unlikely to be hit again on the straight, but you never know.
It's happened once.
Exactly. And lightning can easily strike twice around this place. So then straight into the green flag area, and we've got the lead for Cup 5 just ahead of the overall lead, and here comes the Pixum car then, trying to do an overtake on the treble 6. Can't quite manage it there into turn number 1, the first bit of the Mercedes arena, and this is allowing the car out front to just break away very slightly, but it's all the same 3 cars that have been hammer and tong since the off. The Tri 691 car, the Jaeger and Adams treble 6, and the Gressner Zills 675, which is the all-white Pixum Team Adrenaline car.
Isn't it lovely to see some of these battles in the just further down the entry list, Johnny, because we haven't got the plethora of GT3 machinery scrapping it out at the front. There's a great battle going on at the front between Porsche and Ferrari, but nice to see some of these guys getting time from our colleagues at Vega, and well done to them for picking up this battle as some of the faster cars now beginning to come through, and that in fact is the lead battle coming through there on the Grand Prix circuit. The 59 Porsche Paul Sitter, only car under the 8-minute barrier in qualifying earlier this morning. White with red accents, and then the white with black and red accents Ferrari. Very low slung, that Ferrari, particularly in amongst the 235i Cup cars. You can barely see it as into the pit lane has come the 88 Porsche.
And this car was riding high in GT3, I reckon.
88 is the SP7 class, the Monti Racing car, with Philippe Fernandez-Lazare, Ralf Overhaus and Stefan Aust. This is one of the Manthey Racing evolved GT3 Cup cars. If you look at an entry list, you see MR behind any Porsche, that means Manthey Racing, and Olaf and the boys have breathed on it. And trust me, they know how to make a car last and be quick around here.
This is the car that was leading SP7. The other car that it was fighting has stayed out. So will that prove crucial? I'm going to say again, Chris Brook driven 62 car that he shares with Gindorf and Kraling. They have not stopped at the end of their latest lap, whereas number 88 has done, the Aust, Laser and Overhaus car. So I'd expect the 36 in next time, or the 62 in next time around, possibly. It's the Car Collection Audi heading across the line. That is one of the GT3 entered machines. And here comes the 88 then, back into the race, obviously having lost a lot of places in SP7, but it's got a pit stop now under its belt.
Just a couple of the other classes, Johnny. SP8 at the moment, 15th overall. The 139 Ferrari 458 leads that category. That is the category with Sir Roger, the Aston in it. I believe that car is the same chassis that came 21st overall in the 24 hours. A couple of the other classes, SPX we've talked about, that is the 55 RS01. SP7 running in 8th position overall. Leader there is now the 62 GT America. Cup 2. Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, that's the Mies Scherberth and Jans car. That is in 11th position. In SP8T, BMW M4, the Moran Adams car, sits in 19th position for the 151. Top TCR car now is that Opel Astra still. The Lusterneinen and Strycek 823, 23rd position overall, and leading a gaggle of 5 TCR cars that are line astern on the timing and scoring monitor. H4 leader is the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, the 588. SP10 in 33rd position is an Aston Martin. That is the GT4 car that is sitting in 34th and leading for Aston Martin in SP10. SP3T Audi TT RS, I think in a class of its own, that, the 323. Cup 5, the best of the BMWs, is the 691, that battle we've been following.
Not quite, there's a Seat in SP3T as well, the blue Seat, which I remember was top of its class for many, many hours during the 24.
444 leads the V5 category in the 66th position, that's a Porsche Cayman. Just trying to see the next one down is Cup 1, which is the Opel Astra OPC Cup car. That is 79th position, SP2T BMW Mini. That's the Peitzmeier car, the youngest driver in the field, leading its class in 81st position. That's a 388, that's a mainly white Mini. SP3 is the 270 car, and I haven't got a car name next to that on the timing and scoring. I'll say that was 270. Let me have a quick look at my entry list. That is a RS Cup Renault, so I have to remember that one. And I think that's about it. Oh no, V4 BMW E90 325i 492 in 105th position, in 113th position. The best of the Toyota GT86s in V3, and there's quite a lot of those as well, and he's got a heck of a lead at the moment on his compatriots in that class. And the H2 category is another Renault RS3, that is the 627 in 126th position, 126th position. And finally 549 is the V2 leader in 137th position, and that is a BMW 318IS. I used to have a 318IS as a company car, 2-door, very nice. That was an A36 shape as well, and that car was lovely. Still 3 hours and 20 minutes to go, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Thank you, thank you. I'm slightly concerned about the H4 entered 588 Porsche, which has lost a bit of ground. It's just lost out on a Cup 2 car, but it's still circulating because it's just gone through the end of sector 2. Right
at the end of the Vauxhall, code 60. I believe that's for the 671. That's the Hermann Huber and Arete Racing Cup BMW. 671 car. 4th place in Cup 5, and it was in amongst the leading gaggle there. So what's happened there? Maybe it's caught one of the back markers in one of the slightly slower classes compared to BMW M235i, but I immediately think if it's affected the 4th place car, then maybe it's also jumbled up the order within the top 3. But yes, 671 hasn't appeared at the end of sector 3, so that will immediately promote 691 to 5th and 679 to 6th position,
series of dramas for the 671 car. Over the line goes the red and white GT3 Porsche, and that car has been left behind to a certain extent. It's the 30 car, isn't it? Oh, that's the one that started very, very late there.
Correct.
Fricadelli Racing Pro-Am entered machine.
Confirmed the 671 has had an accident at the end of the Foxhall section.
Oh dear,
that would have been nasty.
Yes.
There's no small accident there.
The 30 car, by the way, now 134th, 8th place in class, but it's got a long, long way to wake up because it's, well, it must be several laps off the lead, I'm thinking now, because that car is on the Grand Prix Strecker, while the SP9 leaders are just nearing the end, so it might not be quite a full lap off the pace, but it's certainly a number of sectors away from race leader number 59. The Montoya Racing entered Porsche that leads, and this time it was an 8:14. Compare that to an 8:21 for the 22 Ferrari. The Ferraris lost a lot of time on that lap, 7 seconds. They were right together the last time we checked. And the Renault RS01 comes through now to post an 8:26.0.
We have had some code 60, don't forget.
True, but the 59 Porsche hasn't really been slow. Well, compared to its fastest lap, it's lost 11 seconds, which would account for a fair bit of yellow. But the 77, the 22 Ferrari has lost an awful lot more time than that, 55 as well. Car 28, 5th on the road, 4th in class, the Schmidt and Ammermuller Lant Motorsport Audi. What was its time like? An 8:26 as well, very similar to the car up ahead of it.
Yeah, the classic now, Monteplast Land Motorsport colours, white on the top, green on the bottom, and the now obligatory stripe across to the rhombus on the roof for the Audi Sport logos, but you're allowed to do that in your team colours now, and that means that it's mainly green and white with a little bit of maroon in that. All of the Audi Sport cars have that on it. Looks very good. Still 3¼ hours to go as the Land Motorsport Audi picks its way. Eddie's about to go past our Mini, the 388, around the outside. BMW Mini. One of the reasons we don't see as many cars nowadays is that the smaller engine cars were taken out of the category some years ago, and now the smallest engine cars are equivalency of 2 litres, so anything with a turbocharged engine below that, of course, there's an equivalency factor. So none of the old sub 1300 or 1 litre cars that we used to have when the Daihatsu Charades and the Suzuki Swifts were out, and that's understandable and I think sensible given the pace now of the cars at the head of the field, which is astounding, quite frankly, in the GT3 cars. Great variety of engine noises passing our effects mics on the Grand Prix circuit. Opel OPC Astra about to go a lap back, going on to the Hatson back from one of the leading 235 cars. And this has settled down quite quickly. 36 BMW is in 7th position. The multicoloured Z4. It's Claudia Hurtgen in that team. Claudia not had a lot of luck here in recent years for BMW. Went out in a huge accident, 3 or 4 years ago now, in the middle of the night. There was that time when BMW seemed to, in the early morning hours, a couple of 3 years running, having bossed the race up until that point. 3 years in a row, I seem to remember their leading cars dropping out. Looks like we've got double waved yellow still on the Dottinger-Hoh. 5 laps down. Porsche leads Ferrari by 8.5 seconds now, with the Renault in 3rd position. Remember that Renault RS01, formerly a single category spec racer, with effectively a Nissan GTR engine sitting in behind the driver. Carbon fibre monocoque, very tidy race car indeed. Now running on steel brakes and with a raised rise height to be GT3 alike in terms of its performance. Number 12 Porsche sitting in 4th position ahead of the Land Motorsport 28 Audi. Then the 44 Mercedes-Benz And look at the Cup cars inside the top 10 now, headed by that 62 GT America 911.
That car owes us a pit stop though. The 88 that was leading the class has done a pit stop. But 62, 77...
77's been in the pits.
77 has been in the pits, you're right. The 62 leads the class, hasn't stopped yet, and the number 1 car is now... number 1 car isn't an SP7 car, is it? It's a Cup 2 car.
Correct.
Although it's a Porsche Cup car, there is some overlap between the SP7 and the Cup 2 division. So just spotting a Cup car out on track doesn't automatically assume you know which class it's in. Certainly that's the case from my point of view. So we've got this bank of SP9s stroke SPXs at the head of the timing and scoring screen. That's the top 7, then 2 SP7 cars, and then 4 Cup 1 machines that are all Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars. The 139 Ferrari 458 is going pretty strongly. That's the SP8 leader, up to 14th overall now, that car number 139. So look out for Ferrari 458. That's the addition with the screaming, wailing, high-pitched V8, as opposed to the power plant in the middle of the 488, which is a twin-turbocharged 3.9-litre engine, which is the Bockenspiegel Team Manschau car. So clear-up continues after a mammoth 5 laps. Feels like we've had so much more than that. Nearly 50 minutes of the time of the 4 hours, but the HIAB, the crane, is now being unravelled, unfolded, so that it can pull back the Armco barrier, and that's going to need extra struts, isn't it? Brand new struts, I reckon, to support the back of that 3-layer Armco, which has been significantly beveled. And these maintenance crews, well experienced in straightening out Armco barrier, considering how much of it snakes around this Nordschleife circuit.
Yes, Bob Dawson very excited. I'm sure that is a Unimog that is sitting there. Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle of some repute. The track services guys get a lot of practice because they are the same guys who fix the barriers when somebody has an off during the tourist laps.
Yes.
And you get charged for that if you do that.
The 802 Golf that's just stopped.
Correct.
Second place in TCR. Now, have we had the leader come in? Which is
And that's 804, actually, that one. It's coming out, yeah.
802, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That might be it. That might be the one I was talking about anyway. Yes, I think it is. I possibly made up number 802.
No, there's 2 Matilda racing cars, 802 and 804.
Okay.
Andreas Gulden and Ben Luchner in the 802, and Michael Pat and Lutz. Mark Lutz Ruhl in the 2 Golf GTI TCRs.
So 802 having made the stop means that car slipped to 9th in class now, which might be about right. 804 was running second.
Third. I think, yeah.
No, it was second.
Oh, okay.
No, you're right. Before the previous Golf.
Yes.
Because it was Astra, 2 Golfs, and then the Honda and Seat battle, wasn't it?
And here's the 802 coming across the line now.
Okay.
So that has been a better exchange then for the 804. Is that how I'm reading it? Because he's already out of the pits and gone.
Yes, and the 802's been caught in at least a couple of yellow.
Exactly, that's exactly right. So a good time. Now the 802 is another one of the Matilda racing cars, but it isn't the same colour as its teammate. It has the same colour scheme, but with different colours. So this is more white, black and gold, but still with those stripes across the bonnet.
I reckon that was, before the pit stops, that was the 3rd place car. And you said the G-Drive livery Golf, as we called it, was running in second.
Yeah.
So that's actually how they've rejoined, but just this bigger gap now between the 2 Golfs.
No sign the leaders pitting, Johnny. The top 7 cars, check that, 8 cars, still to make their first pit stop. And we are on, did you say lap 6 at the moment for the leaders? I would think they'll either come in at the end of this one or at the very latest the end of the next one, the GT3 cars.
Leaders across the line now, and the 59 not being shown on my screen as stopping at the end of lap 6. nor is the Ferrari that goes across the line now to complete 6 laps as well. And the gap's come down a little bit. Now there's some ground gained in the third sector there by the Ferrari on the Porsche that leads the race. So a little bit of ground gain possibly through, it depends where they caught the yellows. Other split times very, very similar, but the gap's gone from nearer 9 seconds to something like 7 seconds now between car 59 for Montoya and car 22, the Wochenspiegel Ferrari.
Problem in V4 for the number 476. This is the MSA Münster EV ended machine, the 325i E90 for Carsten Meurer and Sebastian Schermann. That car with a technical defect in Exmüller. Can't give you any more details on that at the moment, but that's what it says on the ticker.
Renault overtaking Renault, but very different sort, because the RS01 just puts a lap on one of the RS Clios, and just behind the Renault RS01 is that dark blue, or mid-royal blue Seat, the turbocharged SP3 car. So there are 2 cars in SP3T, one is that blue Seat and the other one being the Audi TT-RS, talked a lot about. Car 55 then renumbered for this race, ran in the 30s I think for the 24-hour race, but 55 car.
I think they're a great looking car.
They look tremendous.
I've done a couple of their races in the past when they had the RS Cup, RS01 Cup. Great prizes that Renault Sport put up for that, including a run in Super GT in Japan, and an LMP2 ride at Le Mans as part of their tie-up with Nissan, of course, and it is a Nismo engine in the back of that car. But that sadly no more, and one or two of their customers pushing Renault Sport to help them find other places to go. And I think this is a sensible move from Renault to do some conversion kits to try and bring that car back to GT3 performance, because that car was much quicker than a GT3 car when it was running with the carbon brakes, the correct aero and ride heights. The 235i car's hotting up again, the 666 and the 675 just gone across the line and still battling for position.
Second and third, and what's happened is the black car in Cup 5 has been able to stretch its legs a little bit, still only got try against that car number, indicating that it might be a one-driver effort. We'll have to wait and see whether we spot a driver change when the black machine comes in for its first stop. But these Cup 5 cars happy to push on. Remember, they're at least 1 lap behind the overall leaders. And it's car 691 then leads these two, and there's a change for second position as up the inside goes the 675 car, the Griesner and Zills machine, to overtake treble 6, the Jaeger and Adams car. So Jaeger and Adams have been on the charge since the off, really, since we waved these 20 BMW M235i's into the race. The 691, though, has checked out and is already heading into the braking area for Hatzenbach. This double left-hander over the bridge, and then sweeping down the other side on its way towards Flugplatz.
You do forget, don't you, just how big the Nordschleife is, but also the Grand Prix circuit it's long and thin, takes up actually quite a lot of ground, and it goes across the road, of course. It's flat rather than tall. A great move down the inside. No contact. Great move down the inside by the Pixel Motorsport 675 M235i BMW. Great from M Sport a few years ago to bring these cars in, and they're a nicely proportioned car. People who've driven them tell me that they are very well balanced. Your typical BMW with nigh on 50-50 weight distribution, because the gearbox is on the back axle as a transaxle, as it's called, and 3.5 litre, hence 235. Except I say that now and immediately doubt myself, because BMW don't always hold by that now. But it's a very nicely balanced little racing car, great street car as well. The new 1 Series, of course, for BMW, in an interesting departure, will be built on the same platform as the BMW Mini, so it goes to front-wheel drive. And whether that will happen with the 2 Series as well, which at the moment share platforms, I haven't managed to glean from BMW. but the new 1 Series on a front-wheel drive platform, which is a real departure for those guys, although they've had some of the sort of cross-roaders that they have running with front-wheel drive only. Audi RS TT in the pit lane. Is that the 33 car?
It's got 2 3s in it.
323. Excuse me, if I'd only waited a moment. Just going back to the BMW thing, that will be interesting for those people who like sporty driving. What it does mean, Johnny, is opens up that car and BMW's opportunity to have a TCR car, which at the moment you're not allowed rear drive cars. So very interesting.
The Audi, although losing ground whilst in the pit lane on the Seat, isn't actually losing any points as far as its class is concerned, because there's only 2 cars in that class. And I'll be able to tell you in a moment the number of points up for grabs as far as SP3T is concerned. Obviously it's not that many points because it's only a 2-car class. Meanwhile, Porsche Caymans just working their way across the line. There's another TCR car, a 4-door variety, and the Audi RS3 LMS. That is the LMS engineering car, I reckon.
Correct, it is. Matthias Vassal, Marcus Lernet and Artur Gorian.
They have for many years run an Audi TT RS, but they've moved across TCR. I just remember the livery, which is simple yet effective. The
silver and blue.
The silver and blue, yeah.
Artur Gorian, as it will be, with a Russian licence. I'm not sure, of course, who's in this car at the moment, but had a good crawl over these RS3 LMS TCR cars when the first ones came to the States. We saw the very first one, didn't we, Johnny? It was out in Dubai and doing some demo laps. Beautiful piece of engineering, and the attention to detail from Audi Sport Customer Racing, for it is they who build these cars, is extraordinary. Things like the ends of the dashboard have been changed from the standard RS3 dashboard to accommodate the roll cage. Now, of course, every car has to have that, but many of them are just cut away and left sitting alongside, maybe with a little bit of tape or some finishing strip. No. Audi have had end caps made to fit on so that it goes perfectly around the A-pillar tubes. The door bars have cutouts in new panels, interior panels for the doors on the driver's side, and the passenger side have got cutouts for the crossbars. Really beautiful piece of kit, as you'd expect from Audi Sport Customer Racing, and the same sort of attention to detail that they put into their Audi R8 LMSs goes into the RS3 LMSs. Number 1 Porsche GT3 Cup car climbing up to the Caracciola Carousel. 3 hours to go, by the way, JP.
Leading Cup 2, although I get the feeling that the driver of this car really wants to be leading SP7 as well, considering they're all Porsche Cup cars. He's only got 1 more car to try and get by. That's the 62. About 8 seconds further up the road, that's the problem. And yeah, did a 9:18 last time around, I think, because it was caught in a bit of traffic. Leader, number 59. Still not made a stop.
Hasn't stopped.
No, indeed. But we haven't seen any of the GT3 cars. The key players come in.
Top 10 now.
Timers for 1 or 2, but if you're on the correct schedule, you shouldn't have stopped yet.
Well, you've had that warm-up lap, and this now is this is lap 7, isn't it? That they're working. They've completed 6.
Completed. This is now the start of lap 8.
Oh, really? Yeah. Right. Well, they surely will come in at the end of this lap. Number 59. I think as soon as I see I mean, they've got an hour completed, so if you've got 3 drivers, it's time to change, isn't it? Otherwise, the first guy's just being greedy, frankly. Of course, I see 59 and immediately think of Brumos Racing. Not a dissimilar colour scheme to the Brumos cars.
Aston Martin GT8 just heading into Hatzenbach.
Yeah, now, how's that car doing in SP8? The SP10 class still being led by the 189, one of the customer cars. That is entered. Just the 2 Astons this weekend. Run out of the Aston Martin Technical Centre, Performance Centre. That is the 188 Vantage V8 GT4 from Avia Racing, Team Mathol Racing AV, Wolfgang Weber and Eric Johansson, the Swedish driver. And the other Aston is in SP8, very hotly contested class, and that is the number 134 car. So keep an eye out for that on your timing screens.
Yeah, 6th place in SP8 for the Aston at this stage. Just caught a glimpse of the Mercedes AMG car number 44, which is 6th in SP9 and overall. There are only 2 Mercedes here this weekend, the other one being the Benz SLK 350, the Sing and Sing driven V6 engined car.
The Jaminet Porsche is in the pit lane, the 12 car, came in from 5th position.
Okay, well that's
also has come in the 44 Mercedes-Benz, as you were talking about Benz.
Yes.
Came in from 6th. And still waiting for the leaders to come in. I really hope they've got their calculations right. It's what you worry about.
It has to be now. Meanwhile, the top 3 in Cup 5 are back together again. So black car, blue car, white car. There was a huge gap between the black and the blue last time around, but this is concertinaed up, possibly because of the intervention sections around the circuit into double yellows, and as the black car slowed, then obviously the blue and black car still at full speed. But you would think that as the cars then left the incident area, that gap would have been reinstated, but that's not been the case.
That little Mini hanging on to those pretty well as well. This from Right Town Lover about LMS Engineering, of who you spoke a wee moment ago about the TT running a TCR car here, one of the R8 LMSs. They have their TT entered for one of the Italian 24-hour series races. From Right Turn Lover to at RSL_studio. If you are just joining us, it's VLN3 being raced today. Live coverage on this Nordschleife Classic. 4 hours were on the clock when we started. We're down to 2 hours and 57 minutes. I'm waiting for the first pit stops in race conditions then from the head of the field. It's Porsche, 59 leads Ferrari, 22 leads Renault, RSO 155 from Porsche, 28, check that, from Audi 28, Land Motorsport, and then the Porsche number 12 in the pit lane. First of the leading cars to stop, the 12 and the 44 in 5th and 6th position, respectively Porsche and Mercedes-Benz. I'm John Hindhaugh, this is Johnny Palmer.
And the BMWs at the head of the Cup 5 division, putting on a fabulous show, a spectacular show. The question is, how long can these cars go on their fuel tanks? And will this battle with the Cup 5 be decided in the pits? Because the top 3 have successfully broken away from car 694, which is in 4th position. And they've got the cushion of a BMW M2, which is 2nd in SP8T, Cup 3 car, which is one of the many Caymans entry, the SP10 Aston Martin, which is the GT4 leader effectively, and then a TCR car as well. So a real mix and varied field between the top 3 Cup 5 cars and everybody else in Cup 5. Car 802 is the orange Golf from the TCR division. This car has stopped. Meanwhile, car 810 hasn't, the Audi. And who else have we got in TCR? Oh, the race leader will be still, I was about to say, that Opel Astra, but we might have seen a pit stop for the Astra now. So TCR headed, no, Astra's, yeah, the Astra's just come in now, in fact. So that will mean the Seat of Getgen and Villert will take up the race lead, at least for the time being. And then it's a question of where that Opel Astra TCR feeds back in, the Kissling Motorsport machine. 308 Peugeot. Is this one of the TCR cars?
Yes, it is.
Stopped. It is one of the TCR cars. It hasn't
stopped yet, though, no. Oh, problems for the 44 BMW Z, no, for the 44 Mercedes-Benz. That's just come out of the pits. The Mercedes-Benz number 44 has a problem on the Grand Prix circuit. It's just come out of the pits. And now, has there been a bit of loopage?
I was wondering that, out of the Michael Schumacher S, maybe, and also one of the Z4s.
See how I've foretold that? I said Z4. This is the 455 car, another blue and white machine. Very showroom stock-looking car. 465. 465, sorry, Johnny.
It could be 446.
No, 465. It's the E86 Z4 Coupe of Axel Dufner and Karl Flantz. The 44 Mercedes, which I keep wanting to call a BMW, has restarted, and I heard the engine note disappearing, back up to speed. Meantime, the BMW of which we spoke is taking a shortcut on the grass at the end of the lap on Tiergarten into the pits. 170. This is a Porsche Cayman. This is the dark grey car, which is in SPX, of course. This is the one that's out of order because this is the Manthey car, and they don't want to run their cars, much like the 24-hour race, they don't want to run their works car against their customers, which seems reasonable. It's a GT4 spec car. 4 wheel nuts, lug nuts going on to this Michelin shod car. We haven't picked up on the tyres, actually, because we haven't seen the leaders in the pit lane, but interesting to see which tyres Land Motorsport are using this weekend, because of course they changed very late in race week in the 24 hours.
Well, I remember going down into the garages early on in the week on Wednesday or Thursday, and they had a pile of Michelins to the left, a pile of Dunlops to the right, and the guy said to me, we still haven't decided yet, we're working out which tyre is going to be quickest. Well, it turned out to be quite a bit of controversy surrounding what Michelin supplied their teams. Nobody got the special ring tyre, and in the end then a lot of the Audi teams decided to go with the yellow and black Dunlop rubber, because Dunlop had supplied a specific Nordschleifer tyre. There was some confusion in the final stop, of course, for Land Motorsport, because they weren't quite sure whether to go intermediates or wets. Wet tyres were brought out, and I think a lot of the teams thought they were intermediates. It was too late then to change their mind. They stuck the wet tyres on, and it proved to be the correct decision, but part of that was done by accident. The Astra stayed out, so although we've seen TCR cars pitting already, TCR Opel Astra has made its stop already, so that car is running third in class and behind 2 cars that haven't yet pitted, so the Seat and the Audi car number 803. So this, when it all unwinds, should still be the TCR leader.
Correct, I read it that way as well. Race leader in the pit lane, Johnny. Now this is the first time. Now they're on Michelins, and they're going to get a new set of Michelin tyres.
Not wholly surprising to see a Manthey Porsche on Michelin tyres.
Not at all.
And the Ferrari was also on Michelin during the end of May meeting, so I'd expect Wochenspiegel Team Mannschaft to go again with the French rubber. New driver being installed. Surely Sven Muller will be held back to the final stint. So Randy Wall's out and Steve Smith in, I would reckon. Certainly the two, because this is a Pro-Am car, isn't it? So I reckon Am switched for Am and leave the Pro back for the final stint.
Isn't it interesting, the growth of the Pro-Am category? 2/3 of the GT3 cars, the SP9s, are in this Pro-Am category. I think that reflects, doesn't it, other parts of the motorsport world, and effectively they're being left to it here with the lack of the big budget works teams. Land's come in as well, by the way, in the 28 car, the Audi.
Everybody's in, by the way.
I'd like to see that car a little closer up and see if we can grab a look at what rubber the Land Motorsport Audi, the 28 car, the green and white car, is running. I think they look like Dunlops.
I'm just trying to work out whether, there's Dunlop stickers, I think, on the front of the car as well.
So is that a move for the whole season, or were they already on Dunlops? No, they weren't on Dunlops, were they? They're the one of the ones that changed. I think that's